Hey guys, Daniel James here, and today we're going to be taking a look at Heavyocity's new library, which is called Gravity. The way we're going to do this, same way we have been doing it for the longest time, is we're going to start by playing a short track that I wrote in the background. We're going to listen to the whole thing, and then what I'm going to do is dissect the parts where I used Gravity and showed how I use it, why I used it, and then we'll go into detail about what Gravity is, how it works, and all that good stuff. So the chat's laughing at me. For those of you who are new to this, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm live streaming this at the time the other time I'm doing it. So you'll see a chat room like just here. The people laughing at me because I have to, because I'm trying to be all articulate and stuff, and they find that funny. So yeah, what we're going to do, listen to the track, and then we'll get into it. So here we go. Here's the track. I'm going to go full screen for a little while. So here we go. So there we go. There was the short track I wrote, and I actually used Gravity quite subtly for this. So because the main reason being is I knew, based on the content it was, that most of the demos you're going to be hearing for the library are going to be very hard edge aggressive, and I kind of wanted to go in a different direction with it. So let's take a look at what Gravity is. So let's move this up to the top here. So what is Gravity? There's a good place to start. So Gravity is Heavyocity's new library, which is essentially, it's a modern, the title on the screen says it. It's a modern scoring tool. So much like, a few other libraries out there, it does the kind of impact sounds, the whooshes, the bangs, but it's also got a really deep kind of library of pads and stings, which I think tend to be a little bit more Heavyocity style. They started like the whole thing off with Evolve and the Evolve Mutations libraries, which came out like a few years ago now. But anyway, so let's dive in and take a listen to what I actually used Gravity for in this track. So at the beginning, we start with the piano motif. So we've got this whole thing. Like that very subtle thing, and you'll hear there's lots of pads going on in the background. So if I just solo what Gravity is doing in this section here. So you can hear it's basically filling out that, the sonic scape in the background there. And I've got something doubling the old. Is it this one? Nope. I've got something doubling the piano line. And that's those ones there were all pads, and then I've got an impact up there. So let's dive in and take a look at the separate patches that I've used. So this first one up here is a pad, I believe, from the complex section. So I should probably describe how this is laid out before I jump into all of that. So if you see here, we get hits, pads, rises, and stings. The hits are, as you would imagine, so these incorporate things like, big impacts, sub hits, whooshes, and like tails. And then they also have a thing where you can combine them together, which I'll show you in a minute. Then we have pads, which are split up into a few different sections. So complex is the main folder. So this is where you find the different types of pad sounds. So you get your aggressive ones, which are, gnarly. That's a good impression of aggressive. Ethereal, which is which I think I've got here. Yeah, so guitar. So this pad I've got here is actually one of the ethereal ones, which is this one here. So, it's got the ethereal sound. Then they've got experimental, which is the kind of more weird, it's experimental. It's like different sounding type things. And then we have unnerving, which is, your dark horror type sounds. We'll go through a few of those in a bit. Then we have the elements. So the elements are the kind of so if we look over at the UI here, this will be an easier way of explaining it. The UI here, you see there's 3 different layers, right? So each pad, each complex pad is made up of 3 layers, okay? And each layer is then broken down into its elements here. So the ambience, the menus kind of have like all the odd ones. Then it has like the ethereal, the tonal ones. And then you can play those across the keyboard. And then you have the ambient ones. And then these are split into more subgroups where you can have, so one of these layers here will be one of these thingamajigs here. So channel 1 on the aggressive, and there you go. So like if I just load this in, it'll load down at the bottom. You'll see this has 3 things here, and then this should just have the 1. So there's no, you can't change the volume of these. Anyway, no. Scroll back up to the top. So each of the complex ones broken out into its elements, and you can come through and you can see each of these work as their own pad, which is, if you like pads, there's plenty of them. And we'll go through a few of those in a moment. And then you have short, which is the same things, but they have a much sharper attack on them. Okay, so that's what I'm using with the second one. So the second one, you can see I've used one of the elements short, ethereal, channel 1, purify. So it would be, I think it was in here. What is it? Channel 1, purify. It could be in here. It is kind of, there it is. No, maybe not. Anyway, but it's in one of these. And that one I used as a short. It gets a bit louder here. So as you can hear, that's a pad, but with a sharp edge. And I'm using that as a piano doubler. So it makes the piano sound cool, basically. I mean, without it. So that's pretty cool, right? Anyway, so then moving down, there's a lot to this library, so we're not going to be able to go through every patch, but I will, I'm just trying to give you an overview of what everything is. So then you get risers, and these are split up into 15-second risers, which, as you can imagine, are risers which last for 15 seconds. Then you have 30-second risers, which are similar to the 15-second ones, but almost twice as long, maybe twice as long, who knows? Then organic risers, which are like natural-sounding string-type ones. Again, we'll get into those in a moment. And then finally, we have stings, which is, normally this would be the other way around, but you have the menu, which is like, so you have atonal reverses, atonal sweeps, blah, 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 disturbing metals, tonal sweeps, all that good stuff. And then again, broken out into its elements. So you have lots of options for, lots of options for, being creative with them, you know what I mean? So again, let's just go back into what I did in the track and see what we did. So we've been through the first 2. So the third one, I believe, is a sting. So let's just take a listen. Just got him doing this kind of creepy. So while I'm on this one, let's talk about the UI a little bit. So I showed you a little bit on the pad here that this one's split into 3, but I'm just going to show you, like, this is your basic UI here. So you get this big dial in the middle, and the minute says number 12, and then you can move these up and down. And if you've ever used something along the lines of like Damage or Heavyocity's Aeon, they've used this punish concept before. So punish is essentially like a kind of compression, like a compressor mixed with, I don't know, not saturation, but it's kind of like a bunch of effects which are going on under the behind the scenes. They're going on behind the scenes. You can't edit these features, so you basically just have one dial. So if we play that and I turn it up, you can make them louder with this. I will use this again in a bit later when we're looking at the impacts and such. But for now, we'll just move on from that. And then down the side here, you have like your effects. So you have your reverb, your chorus, which you can turn on and off here. This is probably a bad example of a patch to use it on, but then delay, which is delay. I'm sure most of you know what that is, and then distortion. I wonder if that would have worked in context. Probably could have used that for a more gritty sound. So then over here on the right, we have ADSR, which I'm sure most of you know. So attack is how quickly it sounds. Let's just solo it again. Again, bad example of a patch. I'll show you a bit. I'll show you the ADSR on a patch that needs it. So this is velocity control glide. So if you're doing like legato patches, again, I'll show you that on another one. And unison is like layered up. So here we have at the top here, we have sample, punish, and twist. So at the minute it's on punish, which is this dial here. Sample will show you like the actual sample itself. And you get like a visual representation of what the waveform is actually doing. You can tune it here. You can pan it, you can turn the volume up and down, you can choose where the start is. So maybe I can show the attack decay here actually. So let's say we actually want it to start in the middle here. And then I put the attack down. There'll obviously be a... So that means now that stinger I can play like... I mean, not that I would do that, but, I have the option to. And then random, if you see like the little box there grows, that means that when I push a key, it will play randomly in that box. So now if I play like a few notes, you can make like your own kind of patches out the sounds if you want to. Again, not many people will choose to do that, but you have the option to. Decay and sustain. So if you wanted to make like a really short, snappy type thing, I could have done that, you could do something like that if you so desired. Let me just turn that back up to whatever it was. It was like this, and then the start was back there. Okay, so then if you come down to the bottom here, you'll see that you have EQ, filter, which is, your basic EQs and filters. So, like, you can adjust. Say this section here was annoying me. I can pull the whole thing. I can pull this down, cut that out. And then again, you have another equalizer over here. If you wanted to be a little bit more kind of cutty with it. And then you have your filter here. And this is one thing I wish they added, was that like the mod wheel by default doesn't do anything unless it's a mod wheel specific patch. So I tend to like learn the MIDI CC on that. Then move the mod wheel. Oh, I meant to keep that on vowel. There we go. And then we have high pass. And band pass. And then down here we have controls for the filter. Again, these work much like how any other filter would work. So let me just set this up so that we've actually got a sound that will make sense. Okay, cool. So now... Something fell off my wall, but it's okay. So now if we pull this down, you'll hear you can't really hear anything. So if we turn the envelope up, you'll be able to hear it because the sustain's all the way up. But if you wanted to do like something with like an arpeggio, so let's say we pull the sustain all the way down and pull the decay up. You know, now we've got like a kind of... We can pull it. Now we put like a arpeggiator on this. And again, you can... So you can, you can work it like a synth, which is one of the things I always kind of judge. Anything that does synthy, paddy type stuff, if they give me a filter, I want the option to turn it into like what you would do with a synth, I like having that option. Anyway, so moving on, we have the trigger effects. So down here, if we go move this over to the right, you see here we've got all these red keys here. These are trigger effects. Wait, and make sure I'm on the right one. There we go. So you see like each one corresponds to a different effect. It tells you which one's down here. So, you've got F6 up to C7. So now if I hold like a note, that's adding distortion. And then this one's, that's adding lo-fi. This one adds a filter sweep. This one adds panning. And then over here is delay. And you can come inside each one of these, right? Click on the advanced, and then it's sequenced. So you can turn these off, I believe. So if I just wanted that to have distortion, I believe I could do that. And then if I turn it back on, so you'll see that it's you're using a sequencer to add the effects. So you can create rhythmic effects. I mean, like if I come down here, where's me? I don't have a step number here, but yeah. Like, so I could do like an on-off thing at the beginning. Or like a kind of triplet-y type thing. 3 + 3 + 2, like that, and then hit the trigger. Maybe a third second. Right, that's how many things. So do I have a rate? Do I have a rate? I don't think I do. Oh, here it is. Here we go. So we want that to be what, like 16ths? So you can do you can add these kinds of, like I can build a ramp up like this, like just one bar. So I've got all those options to add those. And then we move on to the next section, which is probably like the most complex part, but also probably one of the most powerful parts of like a Heavyocity library, is their motion section, which is a bit tricky to get your head round, but I'm going to give you the best explanation of it that I can. So let's give it a go. So if we hold this key down here and then we push play, you'll see that it's basically like a noise gate. So the reason this is acting like a noise gate at the minute is if we come down here, I'm going to go full screen for a bit, so you'll not see my face for a little bit. Here we go, just so you can see this a little bit better. So if you see down here, we have volume, pan, and pitch. So you can adjust what these steps are affecting. So on the volume page, you can see it's on, off, on, off. If I bring this down to maybe like just 4 steps, so it's much easier to see. Give me 4, there we go. So it's on, off, on, off, on, off. If we just do it on 1. And then like on pan, we go left, right. And then pitch, we can go. So we can do, things like this. But then one of the cool things you can do is, if I just bring this back out to whatever it was, 64 steps, is you can actually add more than one. So you can have like 2 different pages. So if I drag this here, you can see that I'm setting up. So there's 2 different sets of presets now, right? And if I click follow, it will go between the pages. I'm going to bring this down to like 16 steps so it doesn't take forever. So you see, like, we're just sticking on number 1 at the minute. So if I hit chain, this essentially turns this on. So you see we've jumped to page 2 now, then back on page 1. That's some weird kind of triplet pattern thing. So what we'll do is we'll just stop this from playing, and then we'll go to, you see down here under the follow button, we can change what page we're on. So if I go to page 2, and I'll set page 2 to be just on, off, like here. So you see, well, actually it's comb, but if I put it to 1, you see that it changes that to, like down here, you've got like your fast options. This makes like a sine wave. This makes a nice triangle. This makes a ramp down. Let's do it like that. And then we'll set the chain up like this, and then we'll push play. Move my phone out of the way. So now if we make this more interesting, I'm just going to go back to the main page. I'm going to put this on punish. I'm just going to pull this up a bit. Oh, I didn't tell you about twist. I'll do that now. So twist, like punish, we will go back to the motion page in a second. So punish, much like twist, twist, much like punish. I mean, all the inner workings of it are done behind the scenes. So you just have 1 dial to deal with. Well, in this case, 3. So you turn it on with this little button here. So now we've got twist on. I'm going to stop motion for a second. You'll hear this kind of, and we can change the rate of that. It's hard to show. So we'll put that on, get a bit of movement in there. We'll make it nasty, and then we'll come to motion. And then what we'll do, I didn't mention that you can also trigger that from up here. So at the minute it's on latch. So if I turn latch off, it means it's only playing when I'm holding down the key. So if I wanted to do that down the road, but then when I let go, so I can choose when that, so you can create some really weird glitchy kind of effects by doing that. But yeah, so if I put it back on latch and then click the key, so it'll always play, but it will re-trigger when I push the note. Whereas if I turn that off, I believe, yeah, it will just play from wherever you are. So this will play, and regardless of where you start, it will happen where it is. So if I play now, I'm playing on that downbeat. Whereas if I hit re-trigger, when I hit the key, it'll start from the beginning of 1. So, you know, you can create some really cool rhythmic things. I did do it on one of them. I forget which one, though. So I should probably check that. If you look down at the bottom right, by the way, you have a quick option. Down here, you see the numbers. These are all ready to go. They're there on every page. So this is basically like a quick look at the motion. So I can play the motion. And it just gives you a representation of what it's doing. And you can, you know, if you so desire, you can play from there. And you can, like, you'll see it puts a little orange box around which page you're actually on. So, you know, you know what is happening. So if we move down a page, we will now, let me actually, while we're talking about the UI, so let me come up to the top one and explain this top one again. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is what the complex pad looks like. So again, the complex pad is made up of 3 separate pad sounds, and then they're layered together here. You can choose, you have independent volume control of each. So if we just solo this one. And then we'll solo the middle one. And then we'll solo the end one. Hello. Oh, wait, sorry. So if you look down at the bottom, some of them actually have a special range. So that one covers all the keyboard. That one covers all the keyboard, but this one's only in the higher range. So if I unsolo. But one cool thing they added, so if anybody saw the Wide Blue Sound, their library Orbit had this thing where you go between layers. Now this has a similar setup. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you can change what pad is in which one. I apologize if that is incorrect. But if you come down the bottom here, we have this volume mod rate. So you'll see they slowly fade in and out, okay? So this acts much like Wide Blue Sound's Orbit in the fact that it's going through. So it starts on pad 1, it fades into pad 2, then fades into pad 3. And you can actually change how fast this goes. Oops. That's one thing Contact needs to fix. When you click on the UI and it moves the whole fucking thing. Anyway, so we pull these down. So this is, I believe this is how much of the mod it affects the sound. So you can see now it goes over from 0 to 100 because the mod's all the way up. So this one was actually up high, wasn't it? And then you can choose here where they start. So when you push a key, and if I come down to attack, so you can have them start in separate places. We pan this one all the way to the left and this one all to the right. So we get a bit of kind of motion in the side speakers, which is really cool. Then we come to pitch. This does, this works like the others. So again, you can change the pitch, and like this is what the pitch bend wheel does. So we can narrow this down. So this one goes like down, goes down 5. That only goes up 2. So if we make it so that these are 0, they shouldn't go up when I move the pitch bend wheel, I believe. Yeah. So if you look down at my pitch bend wheel here, nothing up. but they all go down 5. So I could set up like a cool kind of dissonant thing where this one goes up. No, wrong fucking one. This one goes up by like 1, and then this one goes up by like a fucking. I can always grab the bottom one. This one goes up by like a 6, which I think is like a tritone, right? Well, yeah, that's a tritone, and then this one goes up by like a minor third. So we have like a weird thing. I could probably set up something, so it goes into like a chordal thing. So like you have the 1, and then like a third, and then maybe like the 5th on top. So if you wanted to, you could set up like you could have it fade up into a into a chord, which is cool. And then again, punch, twist. And then the EQ and filter here is a little bit different than on the regular one. So you have a filter and an EQ for each channel. So like I said, the complex ones are split into 3. So channel 1 obviously affects channel 1, blah, 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 across all of them. Trigger effects, I believe, stay the same. So they just affect everything. And then motion is a little bit different. So these work exactly how they've been working before, except now you have one for each channel. So you can get very complex. So like we could just have like number 2 always has like this kind of gated thing going on. And then channel 1 has... And we can make the rate, kind of fast so that you'll hear it a bit more. So then the the range is how much this affects the sound. So if it's down at 0, nothing. Whereas if it's at 100, so it's really powerful. One thing I wish you could do is let's get rid of that. One thing I wish you could do is load in separate maybe you can. Oh no, these are just patterns. Okay, so these are preset patterns, as opposed to, you can load and save your own patterns, by the way, by loading and saving. But like, I wish you could load and save your own. Maybe like I can convince them to put this in an update where you can change the pads, maybe even import your own. That would be killer, because then I could add. So like on this motion thing, like if I just solo this one by itself and again create like a comb. So again, these are chaining. So if you look down here, like number 2 looks like that. So you can set up 8 different patterns. Again, let me just set this down to 1. So I turn off the chain. So the red, the second layer, the red one, is what's being controlled right now. So we can actually... So now we have 2 separate... We kind of have like a volume LFO and a gate LFO going at the same time. So you can really create some weird, interesting textures just based on like the moving the volume mod rate between the different patches themselves. But then if you come into motion, you can just get mental with it. And I don't use the word mental lightly. Like, you can go so crazily in depth with those. So yeah, that's how the motion system works. So now we'll move down to the hits. So now we're moving into like this kind of territory. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to make like a new contact so that we can actually look at it a bit easier. Okay, so let's load in one of the hits. So we'll come up to hits and we'll load up the full menu. So when you load up the full menu of hits, you end up just having a like a general normal looking UI. You don't have a special one. So what you have with the menus is these are essentially like in the past they've been called things like whoosh bangs is what we called them in Alpha and Bravo. Then I believe ADO called them like signature. No, like they were like emotional impacts or something like that. Some like they have a few different sounds, but essentially they are a whoosh, a bang, and a tail. So these ones are like pre-baked ones. So these ones you can't change. So we all understand this concept, right? And they sound amazing in this. I believe I used a couple. Let me just find out where they are. So I believe I'm using some here in the track. The track may sound a bit weird now because I've got like a gate on the synth or whatever. So if we come back to the track, so if you look at these are some of the hits I used. So you heard that impact. So we put it in the track. And this one sounds like this. So that one's kind of, but then we put it in the track. And again, so this is the same as the first, I believe. So it's got more of a metallic hit. So. And then another one at the end. So these are, we all understand this concept by now, but where this gets cool is not only have they broken out the impacts, the subs, the tails, and the whooshes. So that's what each one's made of. That's what a whoosh bang or a hit, as they call it in this, is made up of each of these elements. So it's made up of a whoosh first, then it hits an impact and a sub, and then a tail. So they've broken out the impact so you can use them as big hits if you want. I hope that woke everybody up. Then we have subs, which I actually used earlier at the beginning. If you listen under the piano, there's a low boom. Like I said, the sound's a bit weird because I messed with it. So now, I've got low boom, so. Again, a concept we're all familiar with. The tails, you don't normally get broken out by themselves. So these are kind of the sounds you get after a hit. And then, like, I didn't mention this here. Some of these have like a preset. So within a patch, you get like a few different presets of that, a few different setups of that preset. So, like, these are the brutal ones. And then the init, so that's just the basic ones. Then the tweaked ones. Anyway, so then, and then the build-up section is called a whoosh. Again, a concept we're all familiar with. But where Gravity gets cool, and something, I have to give them a lot of respect for, as speaking as a developer, is how they've managed to combine all of these into a patch where you can design your own. So if we look down here, there's now, I went to one of these breakout sections, which is kind of cool sounding. I'm going to break out what I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, over to designer. Sorry, I lost it for a second there. I went all hip hop. So now we have the option of building our own little whoosh bang things based on these elements here. So, for example, if we come down to C0 down here, you see like I have 12 presets I can set up. So C0 will always play this, which is cool, right? But now I can change that. So, okay, what do I want the sub to sound like? Right, so... Oh, wrong one. No. So that... Let's say I want that as my sub. So we're going to select that. What do I want my impact to be? So I like that metal sound. I like that kind of aggressive metal sound. The tail, so when, you know, after the hit. Let's have the creepy iron sound. And then how do we want to build up to it? Let's go with the breath. So now when I hit C0, it will play back what I just designed. Which is stupidly powerful. I mean, I like many of you know, I make a library which would be considered directly competing with this, and I am in awe of how well this works. It's just fantastic. You know, it's a really clever idea and it's executed perfectly. And what, like, the only downside with it is that these breakout sections are separate from each other. So I can't load the C4 to B4 ones in with this one. So say I wanted like an impact out of this and the sub out of this, the whoosh out of this and the tail out of this. I can't do that. But hopefully they'll, you know, give us an option with lots of things in it, maybe with key switches or whatever. But as it stands right now, you know, I could be like, oh, I don't like that sub anymore. So maybe let's have the boom in there. And again, we can come in, swap this out. Go to the designer. So at the minute it's this. So that tail is quite a. So we want something a bit more subtle. Let's go with that one. A really subtle kind of subby, and the impact was quite weak. So let's go with this, like this buzzy sound. But because it's quite buzzy, it's quite weak. So we need like a nice thick sub. There we go. That one's nice and thick. And then whoosh. So let's go with that one, because then we have like a really big thing. So now if I play the thing, it's like a really thick type sound. And one cool thing they've done is if we look down here, you can actually design or actually choose how long you want the whoosh to be. Again, something I am deeply envious of because it works very well. So now I can make it so like it's like, you know, like a quarter note. A half note, yeah. Dotted half note. Or a full note, you know. Which is incredible. And I believe the way it does this, like the tempo syncing in this is really clever. From the way I understand the way it works is like there's no warping of the sound, something that we did in ours, which sometimes if you're doing extreme tempos can sound a bit odd. But what it does is it actually just starts the sample later. So if you're going at a faster tempo and it's like, you know, like a quarter note at 80 beats per minute is considerably different to 180 beats per minute. So what it'll do is it'll just start the sample from a different location. Instead of warping it so that everything warps to the tempo, what it does is it just starts so that the amount of time it'll take to get from when the sample starts to the impact will be that quarter note. So you may only get like the very end of the whoosh to make it a quarter note, but what it won't do is take the entire whoosh at the beginning. It won't compress all of this. Like, because if it's fast, if you had to fit all the information from here to here in a quarter note, it would be like That's kind of how it would sound. Whereas instead, what it'll do is it'll just start the sample here. So it's, there's no warping artifacts. It's very clever. Again, I'm deeply envious of how well made this is. Because if I start this here, so you could just turn it into a swipe. So let's find something that's got like a... So I like the way that's got that kind of at the end. But now, so like... So you hear like how... you hear how there's that cool little... section at the end. Maybe I just want that. So instead of having the, the whole note, we'll just come down here and make it so it's like a quarter note, and then we'll only get that part of the sound. See, I like that, but I want to change the impact. Let's make it like a... Actually, no, it sounded bad. So you see, like that, like I said, the only downside is I can't use elements from the other one. If I had the option, I would have used that metal sound that I used it as the impact from the last one. But alas, I cannot do that. Very clever. So as you can tell, I'm absolutely in love with this section. You can change where the keys are here, up in this top right. Something else worth mentioning is you can set this by time. So if you wanted it to be like a minute long, well, not a minute, but like a 2 seconds long. I prefer to keep it at beats though, because I understand beats, particularly in sounds. So as you can tell, beautifully designed. Again, you can add like motion to this if you so desire. So let's say we wanted like this, but we wanted like a gate on it. We could just have an on-off gate, maybe. Maybe turn off the chain, put it on number 1. And again, I could do that with the key switches, which will be up here. So let's say I just wanted the tail to have that glitchy sound. I could just trigger it when we get to where we want it. I could do it at the beginning. So there's lots of cool things you can do. You can actually just design a whole fucking rhythm. Let's do it. Let's go with 16 steps. So we'll do like the old triplety, and then like that. But then we're going to have it so that it's on off to the end, like that. So it's cool. We can also make it. We can also come in and make it aggressive. Maybe too much so. Put a bit of twist on it. So you can take the basic elements and the way they've programmed the UI to let you design that to your own custom approach is really like, not saying it lightly, is really fucking clever. To the point of jealousy. Can you see the jealousy on my face? Anyway, moving on to the next part, which is it's also awesome. I can't complain. So now we'll look at the risers. So all effects. So these are split up much like the how the whoosh bang things were set up. Is you have menus essentially. So you have all the effects. So this is just your basic patch. Again, no designer on this. So these are risers essentially. So all effects, I believe, are made like with all sorts of weird modular synths and all kinds of nonsense. Organic is made with like strings, string risers and things. Synthetics made with hardware synths, I believe. And then let's load up full menu, which I think has all of them. Let's have a look down here. Okay. Well, let's just hit a few. Oh God, here it comes. You know, so they've got some really epic risers. You know, one cool thing as well is that they've mapped all the controls to automation. So if you look down here, you see it says punish. If I click on something else, you'll see it's twist. So if I wanted, I could control that with automation. You know, like, so if I wanted it to get nastier, you know, like when I play it. Oh, I did it with the wrong one. So let's do it with the right one. There we go, the punish knob. If I wanted it to get nastier over time, I could do it like this. So now when it plays back, you know, it automatically, you know, you can automate that, which is really useful. I'm just going to get rid of those automations because that will screw me in the face. Okay, let me just get rid of those. So yeah, that again, menus are menus. You know, the same with organic hybrid. It's one of those menu type things. And again, with the risers, you can set how many bars you want them on. And this works the same way. So 15 second, well, the tempo synced one. So like the faster your tempo, the further in the sample it will begin. But you can set how long you want it to be. So I believe this is in bars. So like, let's say we want the riser to only be 2 bars. We'll change this one to 2 bars. So if you watch here, it'll just start towards the end. And it, you know, like I mentioned, as there's no rhythmic stuff within the riser, I mean, other than that one that went whoom, whoom, which is kind of irrelevant because it's not an actual tempo sync thing. Because there's no rhythmic information in it, if you have a really fast tempo, it will still be 2 bars because it will just start the sample later to compensate for, you know, the difference between what 2 bars is at one tempo and another. It'll just work that out mathematically so that it's always in time but with no warping, which is really clever. Again, you can do it with time or bars down there. Okay, so moving on to the jealous section. Let's move on to the breakout section. So like the whoosh bangs, with the risers, you can also design a custom riser. So just that phrase alone is awesome. A custom riser. So it works the exact same way the last one did. So there's 3 layers, okay? So if we come to the mix, you've seen this before. We can actually go between the risers, which is very clever. Those bastards. I love them, but those bastards. Anyway, so we'll bring up the mod. So we have 3 different risers, and we actually have the option of fading between them at a tempoed rate. God damn, that's clever. It's so smart. So we're going to put that on. God, just hearing it makes me jelly. So we'll make them all organic. Why not? So let's try this. So we'll have a listen. What we're going to do is we're going to make it 2 bars, so it's just a short riser. So we'll go with that one. And it's doing that because it's going to fade between them eventually. We'll go with that one, and we'll go with this one. So now, when I play the key... God damn, that's clever. That's what this video is turning into. I'm just going to slowly slip into madness. Anyway, so as you can see, we're fading between them. So if we put this like at a fast rate... How insane is that? Okay, so now let's get even crazier. Let's move the first riser to the left, the third riser to the right. So now it's actually going to spin around us. God damn it. Heavyocity, you're making me go crazy. Now we're going to put some twist on it. But we're going to have the twist go at half the speed of the thing so that every other one... Holy shit! Okay, we're getting loud, but we're not done yet. We're going to punish it. Let's punish this bitch. Fuck! Okay, now we're going to go to EQ. So we could actually set up like a custom EQ here. I don't really want to, but we're going to anyway. So let's put like a low pass on this, right? Yeah, sorry, it's a bit loud, so I'm going to turn it down. So we're going to put a low pass on the first one. But we're going to use the filter this time. So we're going to turn on a syncable filter that's doing 16ths. No, we're going to get it doing 30 seconds on this one. But it's going to be doing a ramp down, I think that one is. And then we're going to turn the LF all the way up. So now it will go... So... Okay, let me turn the twist off. So I'm going to come back to the mix. I'm just going to solo this first one. Turn this rate down. Right, we're just going to mess with this first one. So we've got a low pass filter on it. Which doesn't seem to be doing anything. Oh, because I haven't turned it on. Here we go. So yeah, the little on button is that little square. I almost missed that. So now we've got Riser 1 doing this shit. But we're going to push Riser 1 back to the side, turn its mod all the way up, and we're going to put it like this. We're going to put it back to 8s. But we're also going to have, number 3, right? We're going to come to the filter. We're going to make this one have a low pass on it as well, but it's going to be doing ramp up, and it's going to be doing it at 8s. There we go. We're going to have it doing it at 8s. So now it's going to be like prepare yourself. Here we go. Oh wait, I need to unsolo it. Here we go. Oh, I love it. Okay, now we're going to use the whole width, so it builds up whilst doing that. Okay, we don't want 8 bars. We'll go 4 bars. Oh, but now what we'll do is we'll bring on the motion, right? So we're going to let's bring in some complex, rhythmic. Let's go with pulses, advanced 16th feel. And we're going to turn this on. Make sure it's re-triggered. Here we go. God damn. So as you can tell, you can take these risers pretty fucking far. That was just Breakout 1. Let's bring up Breakout 2. See if we can do something cool with these. So now, one thing I did there is I made them all organic. So what they actually have set up is we have 1 organic, we'll have 1 synth, and 1 effects. So that's the effects. There's one really bassy one. So let's change that. There we go, we'll go with that. And then the organic one. So now we have... Now that right there is a filthy riser. That is a filthy riser. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it filthier. Similar system, same way we did last time, just so we get our head around it. We'll come to the mix. We'll make the mod. You know, we'll just add a little bit of mod to these ones. And again, what we'll do is we'll have it so that we go center, left, right, but not all the way. That is glorious. We'll put a bit of distortion on it. Now what we're going to do is on that middle one, just the middle one, we're going to turn this gate on. But we're going to have it so that it's only number 1. So we'll turn off the chain, drag it to number 1. Make sure we're on page number 1. So it's just on, off, on, off. Make sure it's re-triggered, so when I push the key, it'll start from 1. So this is your left speaker, essentially. Holy balls. And again, we could come into, if we wanted, that distortion we had on, we could turn that into a rhythm should we want to. So, you know, we could have like an on-off, you know. So, you know, I can, if I wanted to, I can adjust, you know. So when, these are trigger effects, so I'm holding a key switch to make the sound do that. And again, we can make this so it's like really fucking fast. God damn, I love that. I love it so much. So yeah, the 30-second risers, similar system, just longer risers. But we'll go in, we'll have a look at these. So if you look here, like I was mentioning, watch where when I push the key, you see it starts about here. If I change the tempo to say 226, notice it starts there. So it's done the internal mathematics that the start point, so 12 bars at 226 will start the riser there. Whereas if we go back to what it was, which was what, 115, I believe? 105. If we go back to 105, 12 bars at 105 BPM is there. So the tempo syncing isn't actually using the internal tempo syncing. They must have scripted a really clever way of having it mathematically work out how long 12 bars is in terms of the sample they've put in, which is incredible, you know, because you don't get any artifacting of the sound, which is really, really good. So again, this is one of my favorite. This is also the reason why I love Wide Blue Sound's Orbit. Is I do like the sound you get from modulating between separate you know, sounds like this. So if we put this on again, you know, and we'll so you feel like just because I turned up that middle one, you had this kind of, you know, this kind of building tension. It wasn't just building up like a riser. It was also building, like it rhythmically, it was building in tension because of that middle was punching through, which is really fucking clever. Again, you have full menus if you wanted to. The organic risers are, you know, like I mentioned earlier, these are not the hybrid versions. These are just like the plain organic ones. So like they've done left, right, and center. So we can change these. And then this one will have. So now we play those together and we'll make it 4 bars long. So, you know, particularly people who have been using Symphobia risers forever, you know, this is going to be good for you. Again, my favorite part, I'm going to build that same rhythmic tension I did before. So these two are like half kind of volume, and then just slightly off to the left, slightly off to the right. And then we'll bring the mod for this one a bit higher, but we'll also turn up the volume of it so that we get that kind of third, that second beat of 3 is constantly driving over the rhythmic thing. So we'll make this fourths, actually seconds, half. You can feel it. So, so in the chat room, somebody's asked, doesn't the fact that it starts the sample later take away from the build-up? You can now no longer start subtly as it starts midway through the sample. And that's actually incorrect because, so like, I agree with you, it starts, starts quite aggressively. And again, if anybody's watching this on YouTube, as you can see, there's a chat room just down there. I'm responding to that live. So I'm not just going insane talking to myself. But yes, I understand what you mean. It starts quite aggressively, but that's where we come over to here to the ADSR. So now we can just turn up the attack a bit more. Or at least I thought we could. I mean, you can do all sorts of things. You could maybe bring on a filter. You could bring on the motion designer to turn it up. But yeah, you like if you're doing a 4-second one, you haven't got as much time. However, you can just, if you want to, set it back down to 16 bars and start it a lot earlier. So, well, maybe not 16 bars, because 16 bars, I think what it's done here is worked out that the start time, like the sample is longer than 16 bars. So at 105 BPM, 16 bars actually goes before the sample starts, maybe like here somewhere. So if I push the key now, it's actually going to it's just going to tick through silence until we reach beat 1 here, and it'll do it in time. So I'm holding the key. I have no idea when the sample's actually going to start, but we're holding the key. There we go. So it works out the time before. So you can set it up however you like. You could even automate the volume if you wanted. You can come to the main, and then just automate things within. Because like I mentioned, if I click something in here, most of them, like, so if I wanted to, look, you see here, channel 3 volume. If I click channel 2's volume, it'll change to channel 2. So if I wanted to, I could automate those up. I could even just bounce them down, render them out, and then just turn the volume up gradually. There's many ways around, if something's got too much of an attack, there's many ways you can get around that. But yeah, there is an ADSR. It didn't seem to do... Oh, wait, maybe it's because I did that. Sorry. So now it should. I forgot to tell you about this button. So ADSR, here you can set like different settings. So I could have like channel 1 go really sharp, but channel 2 slow. So if I link them and then turn the attack up, wait, let me put it back to like 4 bars. God damn it. So what it was this. And I agree, very aggressive. Again, I have to fuck up in every video, otherwise people will believe it's not real. Yeah, so with the link button engaged, so this is what it sounded like before. And I agree, there's no build up to it. However, if I link the ADSR, like I was supposed to in the first place, like an idiot, I can now turn all of them back. So you get more of a fade in, as it were. Okay, so now we go. We did those. Let's have a look what unison does. going to be hard to tell on there. So yeah, they're the risers. So now if we come and have a listen to some of this thing. So what we'll do is we'll listen to the menus. Let's take a look at the atonal risers right now. So atonal risers, we're back to the standard UI. So these are basically one-shot sound effects they're kind of like whooshes, but they have a tail. It's like a whoosh and a tail, but no bang in between. Okay, so like if we look at the samples, you'll be able to see. And you get like a nice little tail afterwards. So you get lots of these ones. These ones work a little bit different. So if you look down at the bottom here, we get a purple section. So this purple bit means that I can change the tonality of it. So at the minute it's doing a C. These are atonal, so this one isn't actually as useful. So you can adjust it that way. And then if we come up here to the presets, you know, like they've put them as rips. So this is where the presets are useful. So init basically means initialize, or, you know, back to standard. So this is what it is when you play it. And as you can see, the start button starts from the beginning of the sample. Whereas the preset here, which is rips, are the exact same samples, except they've set the start time to just before the... So you can get like the swipes, pretty much, which is cool. I didn't mean to load two of those, so we'll just close these down. And let's go to the hits. So these are useful for, you know, just adding a special kind of tone to a downbeat. The hit ones, I mean. So we come to like disturbing metal reverses, for example. Let's replace that. Same concept. And again, they did the rips for us again. Really useful. Hits and drones. Let's have a look at these. So these are the same kind of sounds, but flip round. So whereas they were reversed before, now they're the right way round. Again, if we wanted to, we could add some motion. Just, you know, on, off, why not? Which is kind of cool. And again, we could do the pan left and right. So going between the left and right. So, you know, some cool sounds. What did I do there? I did the reverses. So the sweeps are a little bit different. They're more... They're good for adding texture to something that's already going on. A good way to use these is to have like a drone or like a texture going on in the background, but instead of just relying on one drone, for example. So say you're doing like an underscore section of a film, and you want like just this kind of droney kind of boom sound. Instead of having to, you know, mess with that drone and make it more interesting and organic, you can just load up a patch like this. You know, you can add these on top, for example. Someone asked how I can blend in. How would you make the motion rhythm fade in? So I'll bring that down. I'll just give that a go. So we turn that on. Oh, I need to turn the chain off. Put it back on number 1. So down here we have an attack. So now I thought this is how you did it, so I may have just cocked up. Now, I thought this is how you did it, so I apologize. I'm not going to know the answer to that one. That one may be one for the manual. I thought the attack button here faded it in. So I apologize for that. I don't know. You beat me, okay? You beat me. So yeah, so now they have the disturbing metal sweeps, but as drones. So I'm not quite sure what this one's going to do, but we'll have a look. Okay, so these ones are doing the same. They're starting, using the start to start midway through. Cool. So reverse hits and whooshes. So these are kind of what you'd expect. They're reverse hits. Again, we could do whatever we like with those. And then I believe these are the same but turned around. Oh no, completely wrong. So these are the hits turned around. And again, with these you can, like with the risers and the whoosh bangs, we can actually design how long we want these to be. So if we just want them to go for a quarter note. Or we just want them, you know, for like. Really cool for adding like little short ones like that, or what you want to do to lead into the next beat, which is fun. So now if we come to the tonal ones, this is where the purple notes make a lot more sense. So now so let's say we had that but we wanted it like as an F. You know, like if we've got a melody going on but we want to keep that sound in tune, we can. And you have down like 2 octaves. So you've got some cool sounds you can do with that. Again, the rips are a shorter version of it. And then tonal sweeps, similar thing, but again, like the softer, more textural versions. We can technically play these together, they should be in tune. It's kind of cool sounding. Okay, so now we're going to move to the final section, which is also the largest. However, there's a lot of I mean, we've kind of covered it, like the pads earlier, but I'm just going to go through the different sections because I didn't yet. So now we're in the aggressive complex. Like I mentioned before, but in case you've skipped through the video, the pads are split up like this. So the complex are kind of like the main patches, and they're built on three separate synth patches, pad patches rather. They're elements rather, and the elements are all split out individually. So you can come in Like if you come into the like the elements of the pads, the elements ambient, for example, like 3 of these will make up one of the complex ones, and it tells you what they're from. So like ag is aggressive, eth is ethereal, exp is experimental, and then un is unnerving. So if you just want an individual patch from a complex one, you can come and do that. However, I much prefer the complex ones because you have things like this this mixing system in between, which we just did with the risers, where you can make some crazy rhythmic elements, some crazy rhythmic parts to the sound. So let's listen to some aggressive ones. Now these have more presets than some of the other patches. So we come down, so this is it in its ambient 2 setup. Then there's a motion pulse version. Then they have motion swell. Then they have short versions. So you can make some cool little bouncy sounds. But again, one of my favorite things to do is take them, put on the mod, again, much like Orbit from White Blue Sound, you can blend between the layers. Add some twist. Cool, so let's just try another one. Epic distortion. Epic distortion. Coming this summer. It's pretty epic. Played the track. I forgot we had a track in the background for a second then. So yeah, you can take any of these pads and twist them, manipulate them. I went a bit silent for a second then. I was getting well into it. I was getting like all focused. Let's try some other aggressive ones. Again, like I mentioned, I wrote my track to be a little bit soft and delicate because I wanted to show that you can use these big sounds in something like that. So like mine sounds like this. I've messed with the sound so much, it's not even right. But if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description underneath, there'll be a link to the track I wrote. If you're watching the live stream, you'll have to go check it out on SoundCloud. But yeah, I chose to use this soft to show that it can be done. But the way this is set out is it's quite aggressive sounding, even in the small ones. So I've spoken a lot about the things I love. There's one thing I'm not a big fan of, and it's that the pads are sensitive, even for the droney ones. So if I play this key soft, and then if I play it hard, now that's cool. But when you've got a pad and you're padding around, you kind of want the mod wheel to do something. You know what I mean? I know they have mod wheel patches. Even if it was just a low pass filter or a volume, you want some dynamics in your pads. So, I mean, I hope that they consider that in the future, maybe giving us a I mean, I could just right click on the volume and do it, but you know, then you might mess up a mod wheel patch. Even if it was on expression, because I don't think expression's being used for anything. That would be cool. So let's check out some of the ethereal ones. These are quite nice. These actually inspired me to do the softer track. There was a part in the track, actually. There was a really spacey sounding one. Let me find it. I put it in the middle at the change during the song. So it would be one of these. I need to figure out which one. It's probably this one. Not that one. Maybe it's this one. Yeah, it looks like this. So that sound right there is one of the reasons I went really weird with the key change here. Because that to me sounds really spacey. So if I just play that section, you won't even hear that. But to me, that sounded like what space kind of, you know, like with all the aliens and stuff. You know, like it's got that kind of sound, which I think makes it feel like, again, going back to the subtleties, you know, like you don't hear that, but it adds to the overall tone of that section. Yes, you can. Somebody in the chat asks, can't you just add a low pass filter to the track? Yes, you can. And again, it's the problem is it won't stick with every patch. So let's say, for example, if I came to like a filter, I believe you can link these. I need to remember how to. Maybe you can't link them. There is a link button, but it only works on one. Okay. But like I could learn MIDI and assign that to, you know, like my expression. Oh, it looks like we're actually going to crash. Oh no. Yeah, it doesn't like me doing that, so I'm going to stop doing it. Yeah, so like you could assign it, but it doesn't stay with the patch. So if I change patch, it won't be there for the next one. So it's kind of a pain. So more ethereal ones. So this one's actually doing a bit of modulation between. You know, so there's, you know, we're treading over like familiar territory now, but so we'll just listen to a few more of these. So again, split into 3 layers. And these are just up here. So as you can hear, you know, some cool sound things. Like one of the things I wish they'd have done is, I think I mentioned this earlier, but if they had to design a patch for the pads. So I could load like any of the elements into the complex ones. So we'll just take a listen to some unnerving ones. Kind of cool. Dead space creeping. So that's awesome. So unnerving again. I'm not going to play every single one because there's a lot. So the element menus are like individual versions of those samples. So as you see, we do not have the 3-layer thing here, but we do have each separate layer. Like how I was saying, I wish I could blend between. You could technically do it like this, but the thing is you don't get to make that cool rhythmic modulation between the 3. Wish that was a thing, but with these you can change the tone here. So you can load in just the ethereal ones, you know. Which is cool. The ambient ones are the ambient ones again, split out like this. Not fully sure why there's a purple one in the middle there, but we'll just pretend it's not there. So yeah, the element menu is all of the ambient ones, and I believe the short ones, but in menu form. But so so you get like the not crossfading, you get like the nice fade-ins and everything like that. Whereas the elements are literally just the one sample. So the lower down you go, the more stretched it's going to be. And then the higher up, the faster it's going to go. So it's just an option to play with individual ones, however you see fit. Then they got like the lo-fi ones. Most of these belong in the aggressive category, as you can see by the copious amounts of ag. So you can do things like that. Again, the synths are some of their hardware synths kind of put into motion. Oh, that bass though. Oh, God. There's whales swimming over to me right now. And then the short ones are the same kind of thing, but they're a much shorter attack at the beginning. So you can play them. So you can play them. Some of them are a bit weird, but there are some you could play like by themselves, like this one. Okay. That's like a fifth sound just built in. Dissonant. Why not? Let's get some sounds that actually sound nasty. Oh, God. Which is kind of cool. So, you can find uses for these. Like how I use them was, again, for doubling the piano. Because it's just a short little thing and it adds a texture. So, again, without it. So you see, there's a good way of, using the sounds to layer with other things. Like you could use the shorts to layer with strings, for example. Anyway, so you can use the shorts in that way. So if we go back to the thingamajiggy, so we've got dissonant element short, and we'll just like play one or two more. Airy and breathy I didn't load up. Let's listen to these. So we need to solo that. Anyway, got carried away there for a second. But yeah, they all have their own little thing to them, you know. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything that the library has. Again, I'm not going to play every single sound because, like, just in the pads alone, if I go in the ambient and dissonant, there's like 100 there, and then if I go to the the FX and textures, there's like another 100 there. So I mean, like, this video will be long as is, you know, so I'm not going to go through every single one. Is it this one I messed up? Yeah. It was that like first one, wasn't it? I can't even remember what I did. I remember that I messed it up. It was like a... I messed them all up pretty much. It was this one. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can say about Gravity. The things that it does well, like it's really amazing if you're looking to create within the library, so having the ability to, go between different layers, like wide blue sounds orbit, like being able to fade between the three, having the motion designer, which is complex as hell at first. It did actually take me a while to get my head around it, but once you understand it a bit better, it's very powerful. I wish they would dumb it down a little bit, like have a simple mode. And like this would be the complex mode, and then just have a simple mode so that you can go in and just, I just want it to do this. But again, infinitely powerful. And then, of course, my favorite part is the breakout hits, being able to design your own whoosh bangs, being able to design your own risers based on what they give you. You're not essentially designing your own. However, you're able to pick from the list, so you can custom design based on their sounds what you want the riser to be. It can be soft into a loud. It can be loud into an even fucking louder. So it's all around. It's a really fantastic library for this modern sound. It does things. If you already have a modern library, a lot of things I say is, does it tread the same ground? In some areas, yes. But in others, it does completely new things, like the riser and whoosh designer. They're completely new. The pads that it has, the being able to fade between layers, again, that already exists in in some other libraries. But the way it's done here is very powerful, because you put on top of that all the motion designer and, all the chaining and all the effects and the punish and the twist and all this. So I think if you're a professional composer and you already have something like this, I definitely think this is going to help. It's going to add to your sound. If you already have something like this and not a lot of money, I mean, that's a decision for you. Like I say, the riser designer and the whoosh bang designer alone, I think, are quite worth the money. And again, the pads, if you do a lot of film work and game score work, I think you'll make your money back pretty quickly with the amount of use you're going to get, particularly for underscore scenes, like how it faded between the the different elements. So yeah, all in all, I'm loving the library. I used it in the track. I hope you guys enjoyed the track I wrote. I did try and go for something a bit lighter, but if you want to hear more heavier edge ones, on the official Heavyocity website, they do have quite a lot of heavy examples. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, this was live streamed, so I'll leave a link below to where you can see the next live stream. If you follow the page, you'll be notified when I go live, and then you can join in the discussion. You can ask questions while I'm streaming. But yeah, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful or entertaining. If neither, I'm sorry I wasted the 2 hours of your time or whatever it was. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, guys. And, I'll see you all in the next video.